This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engine!
Get ready, strap in, and hold on. We're getting the green starting right now. You're shifting gears on ARN with Alan Bailey.
That you are, gearheads. Welcome on in to the month of May and our Indianapolis 500 practice coverage right here on the American Racing Network. It is Thursday, May 19th, 2016. I'm Alan Bailey. It's Shifting Gears number 318 here on the American Racing Network. We're live in Southern California, but we'll be taking you out to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is practice for the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. And yes, although this show predominantly is a show that caters to the NASCAR, the IndyCar, the NHRA drag racing, and the Supercross crowd, don't worry, we'll be talking about all those topics, but since it is the month of May and since we're a little over a week away from the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 next Sunday, we will be dominated by IndyCar coverage from now until the start of the race on Sunday, May 29th, 2016. I'm Alan Bailey, at The Alan Bailey on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is where you can get me. Lots of stuff coming up on the program over the course of the next hour. Let's go ahead and get into it with today's Hot Topics, powered by, RJO Aesthetics. Thank you, boys, for powering this one up. Now, in the world of NASCAR, big surprise, not really, after rumors of him jumping ship over to Hendrick Motorsports next season, Kevin Harvick squashed all rumors today, signing a long-term contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing, the team he has been with since the 2014 season, which just so happened to be his championship season. That year he won the title and 5 races. Last year he won 3 races and finished in the top 4 in points, and he's looking to do it again in the 2016 season. Lots of speculation around Kevin Harvick, saying that he wasn't happy driving a Ford in 2017, and he was supposedly going to be signing a contract to drive the number 5 Chevrolet for Rick Hendrick, replacing Casey Kane, but those rumors were squashed today when Stewart-Haas Racing and Kevin Harvick announced this long-term extension. And also in the world of NASCAR, speaking of Casey Kane, he was docked 15 points, and crew chief Keith Rodden was fined $25,000, and 15 points were also taken away from Rick Hendrick in the owner's standings for a P3 level violation found after the Dover race this last weekend, when the truck arms were bent at some point during the race. No word if they're actually going to be appealing this one. Truck arms do bend during races, and they were involved in a little scuffle. We'll see what happens with this one. And it's not that Tony Stewart is back in full time. Tony Stewart's back in time for his final go-around in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. But amongst all the pomp and circumstance that Tony Stewart will tolerate, something that we'll be seeing this weekend is the command that he will be giving for the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's been confirmed that he will be dropping the green flag and giving the command this weekend. Now, he's won the race before, but he's electing to sit out of the car because, well, guess what? He actually is still recovering from that back issue. We'll see what he does, actually, and what his cars do this weekend, I should say, out at the All-Star Race. Looking at the speed charts in the Verizon IndyCar Series, it is practice number 4 for the 100th Indianapolis 500-mile race out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with just about 90 minutes remaining out at the Speedway. It is Gabby Chavez atop the speed charts right now, who is in pit road. Cars that are on track at the moment include the number 28 of Ryan Hunter-Reay, and looking down the speed charts, it looks like he's the only car on pit road on the racetrack, actually. Townsend Bell is second on the speed chart, Carlos Munoz third, Connor Daly fourth, and Charlie Kimball rounding out the top 5. A couple of notables: Juan Pablo Montoya sixth on the speed charts, with Scott Dixon seventh, Helio Castroneves is 8th on the speed charts, Marco Andretti 9th. Like I said, Ryan Hunter-Reay is 11th and currently out on racetrack. James Hinchcliffe, who's returning to the track for the first time since his accident there 1 year ago, 14th on the speed charts right now of the 34 cars that have taken time. Out of the 34 cars that are entered for the race, only 33 have taken times today. Spencer Pidgeot in the number 16 Honda has elected to not run laps so far. today in this practice session. We'll keep you updated throughout the day. Now, we were hearing rumors that despite a wrist injury, Cooper Webb may or may not be racing this weekend in Hangtown, and he confirmed today on social media that he is in fact racing this weekend out in Hangtown in a social media post released on YouTube for Cooper Webb trackside, and we'll play a little bit of that for you a little bit later on in the program. Back to the NASCAR world, rain wreaking havoc out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in all three Truck Series practices today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, no practice sessions today for tomorrow night's Carolina Education Lottery 200. The first two practice sessions were rained out. There's a third practice session set for later today. We'll see if that one does get underway. The Rockingham Speedway is off the block. The Rockingham Speedway has sold at auction, and unfortunately, we don't know what is to become of the historic track in North Carolina. From the ARN News Desk, this update brought to you by our friends at RJO Aesthetics. Now, this is going to be an interesting show because I literally in one ear have the race coverage going, and it looks like there's about 3 cars out on track right now. A couple cars ducked out in the time that I did that update versus right now, and unfortunately the clock is running down right now in that practice session. We'll continue to keep you updated up to the latest moment of what's going on, but it does look like the track, those cars just actually came in. So right now, the track is sitting idle. There are no cars on pit road. Ryan Hunter-Reay was the last car out on pit road. Gabby Chavez atop the speed charts in that number 19 Honda. Townsend Bell is second on the speed charts in the Honda as well, the number 29. Carlos Munoz in that number 26 Honda is third, with Connor Daly fourth in the number 18 Honda. And Charlie Kimball, a Chevy, rounding out your top 5 on the speed charts today out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Looks like they are, in fact, looking for... It looks like they're, in fact, actually out there doing some kind of track inspection right now. We'll keep you updated here once we get more information from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What we'll go ahead and do now is we will go ahead and step aside for the first time, but what I will tell you, something that did not make the roundup because it did get pushed back, unfortunately. John Force going to be debuting his number 16 2016 Camaro SS in Topeka this weekend. It is a new designed body, and John Force is extremely ecstatic. Courtney and Robert Height are also going to be debuting this car a little bit later on in the season, not this weekend out in Topeka. Just John's going to be racing this new 2016 body as they're still preparing these bodies for these racers. But we'll hear from John a little bit later on about what he thinks about the new body and why he thinks it's the best designed body that he's ever raced. Them strong fighting words right there, but we'll get in on it. Also, we'll take you inside Indy. Look back at this last weekend's Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course race that the Verizon IndyCar Series ran. Amazing race that we saw over the weekend. We'll also take you back in time, get you inside the headsets out at the Dover International Speedway, catch you up on the ins and outs of everything that happened out at the Dover International Speedway in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, which was a very... profanity-laced headsets. Yeah, it was dirty talking out there. What can you say? You just kind of see it and you go with it. So we'll talk about that as well. Plus, we'll kind of put to bed the whole stigmatism of why in the world were rumors started that Kevin Harvick was going anywhere in 2017. There are hardcore Chevy fans out there that wanted Harvick in a Chevy for the rest of his life, and unfortunately it wasn't something that was happening anytime soon. Sorry, Chevy fans. Harvick's driving a Ford in 2017 and beyond with the rest of Stewart-Haas Racing. We'll get in on it as well. Plus, your tweets, your phone calls, your emails at the Alan Bailey Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also use the hashtags ARNRace or Shifting Gears in order to get in on this conversation. You can also call 720-600-RACE. That is 720-600-7223. Standard message and data rates do apply on that. We'll go ahead, step aside here for the first time. When we get back, we will discuss everything that's going on in the world of IndyCar. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on ARN.
Take ARN anywhere. Download your favorite ARN programs on iTunes. Keyword search ARN and listen online at arnrace.com.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
It's summertime, and what does that mean for your business? Well, you don't need to go on one of these free website builders and build your own website because you're not a web designer. You don't need to hire one of these websites that claims they'll build a website for free because, as my father always told me, nothing in this world is free. So what do? Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote to build your website today. It's not a cookie-cutter website like all these other web design companies. No, RJO builds a brand new custom website for your specific needs. If you need a host service, if you need social media help, if you need a logo, they'll take care of it all for you, including emails, and yes, they'll even help you set up your .com. And no, they're not going to charge you a monthly fee. No, they're not going to nickel and dime you anytime you want to make a tiny change. They do it all for you. Here's what you do. Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote. And when you talk to my man Ruben, go ahead and tell him Alan from ARN sent you for a special gift. That's RJO Web Design. RJO Web Design.
Hi. Robert David Reagan.
When it comes to tire safety, nothing is more important than your tire's air pressure.
Just like a pit stop, checking your air pressure takes just a few moments.
And those few moments will not only keep you and your family safe on the road, it can also help save you money.
Properly inflated tires can improve gas mileage, which will save you money at the pump.
So be tire smart and make sure your tires are properly inflated.
Learn more at etiresmart.org. Message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
You're shifting gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
Some of the sounds that we heard earlier today out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Practice 4 in the books for the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. Gabby Chavez fastest in the 4th day of practice for the epic May 29th race with a tow assist lap of 227.961 miles per hour in the number 19 Dale Cavan Racing Boy Scouts of America Honda. And the focus is also centered on the no towing list, paced by Will Power with a lap of 125.38 miles per hour in the number 12 Verizon Team Penske Chevrolet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout the entire race, actually, because the tow assist obviously is going to play a huge part in the race and how you pass, where you pass, and what happens. We're looking at the countdown right now. We're 9 days, 20 hours, and 28 minutes away from the drop of the green flag of the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. And honestly, it's going to be an amazing race. If you're a gearhead, if you've ever watched a single lap of racing in your life, you will want to watch this race. This is the race of the century. Literally, you have the best drivers in the world competing in this race. It's a historic race that literally everyone in the field wants to win, and literally the entire motorsports community's eyes will be transfixed at that yard of bricks come May 29th. You don't want to miss it. Now, let's turn the clocks back because we did get a chance to kind of witness a little bit of what we'll come to expect here on the 29th in just a little over 9 days when the Verizon IndyCar Series took to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not to the big track, but to the road course inside the track for the Grand Prix of Indianapolis this last weekend. We'll relive that right now as we take you inside Indy.
With frigid temperatures in the high 40s and 50s, bundled-up race fans made their way out to the world's greatest race course as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway played host to the third Angie's List Grand Prix of Indianapolis. I'm Nick Yeoman from IndyCar Radio as we take a look back at the fifth race of the 2016 Verizon IndyCar season. Points leader Simon Pagenaud led the 25-car field to the green flag, but it didn't take long for the carbon fiber to start flying. As the field funneled their way into Turn 1, two veterans, Tony Kanaan and Sebastian Bourdais, collide. The incident would end the day for Kanaan. Bourdais' team would make repairs, but both drivers' chance at victory was gone. When the race restarted, Will Power found his hands full with rookie Alexander Rossi pressuring him down Holman Boulevard. Power swung wide in turn number 7, got in the grass, and spun as the entire field raced by. Things didn't get much better for Power's teammate Juan Pablo Montoya. During the first round of pit stops, he violates the pit exit blend line rule. He has to serve a drive-through penalty and throws away his chance at victory. During the same round of pit stops, leader Simon Pagenaud pitted first, giving the lead to Charlie Kimball. After quick work by his Ganassi crew, Kimball raced off pit lane and slid his Chevrolet in front of Pagenaud. Just a few turns later, though, Simon took advantage of Charlie's cold tires and grabbed the lead back heading to turn number 7. With the race nearing the halfway point, the repairs to Sebastian Bourdais' car proved to be faulty. His problems brought out a full course caution. When the leaders pitted, the Schmidt-Peterson crew made quick work to get James Hinchcliffe out ahead of Simon Pagenaud. The problem for Hinch, though, was that with savvy pit strategy, Elio Castroneves inherited the lead, and Connor Daly moved into second. On the restart, Connor Daly saw his chance to pounce, jumping around Elio in turn number 1, as Simon Pagenaud also slipped past Hinchcliffe. With the final round of pit stops approaching and different fuel strategies, Daly had to pit first and give up the lead to Elio. Not to be outdone, moments later, Kyle Moyer elects to bring Simon Pagenaud in. And with a fantastic pit stop, Pagenaud found himself in a very familiar spot, leading an IndyCar race. Over the race's final handful of laps, there were some incredible battles in the top 5 between Connor Daly, Graham Rahal, and Charlie Kimball. James Hinchcliffe made Elio Castroneves work for his second place finish. Hinchcliffe's incredible return to IndyCar was a successful one, as he would find his way on the third step of the podium in his first race back at IMS after suffering life-threatening injuries 1 year ago. Up front, though, it was more magic from Simon Pagenaud as he scores his 3rd straight win of the season and extends his already impressive lead to 76 points over Scott Dixon. IndyCar fans won't have to wait long as Indy 500 practice starts Monday, May 16th. Qualifications on the weekend of May 21st and 22nd, all leading up to the greatest spectacle in racing, the 100th Indianapolis 500 on May 29th.
And it's going to be one heck of a week here leading up to the race next Sunday. Qualification on the this Saturday and this Sunday for the 100th Indianapolis 500. And this has been a heck of a journey. This not only did we see a great race this last weekend out in Indianapolis, but we kind of got a taste of what we're going to be experiencing in the next coming weeks here. We immediately have seen racing all week long, which I gotta say I'm loving, because we're coming home every day from work and we're literally turning on the highlight reel on our computers. We're looking at it on our phones. IndyCar's been streaming it on Facebook. They've been putting it up on their website, the live timing and scoring. So we're getting this every single day, gearheads. We're seeing it 5 days a week now, and we're literally going to have a car on track pretty much from now until the race on the 29th, more or less. A couple days off here and there, but more or less. We've seen a car on track every day. More practice tomorrow leading up to qualification on Saturday and Sunday. More practice next week leading up to the race on the 29th. It's a very, very, very special time, my friends, to be alive in Gearhead Nation, and I absolutely love this. This is what we live for. This is Indianapolis, and if those words don't give you goosebumps like I have on my arms right now, you sincerely need to change the channel and get your head examined, because this is shifting gears. You're gearheads just like I am, and this is what we live for, and I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. And you know, talking about goosebumps, this time 1 year ago, it was a very, very, very different story that we had for one of our fellow racers, and everything kind of came full circle this last weekend for James, because He went back to the track and actually finished on the podium, which is pretty darn impressive, mind you. How special would it be if he could make the impossible happen next coming Sunday? Let's go full circle. May 18th, 2015.
It's Indianapolis. It's practice day like any other. But sometimes things happen that you just don't plan for.
Oh, and a hard contact.
Director of Track Safety, Mike Yates.
In trauma, you have a golden hour. From the time that the incident happens till the time you're in surgery, you want to get there in that hour. We heard the yellow, yellow, yellow call. We were on the scene with Hinch probably within the first 30 to 40 seconds. He was trapped in the car in his seat, so we got our spreaders. When we kind of heard the car pop a little bit and we felt some energy release, we went to take him out again, and he was still caught down in there, but it wasn't like he was compressed and tightly fit. It was just he was really heavy. But we did notice at that point that he was bleeding pretty profusely. Finally got him out onto the backboard of the ambulance had brought to us. And I heard a thump in the seat like someone had dropped their radio down in there. Well, I found out later that thump I heard was actually the suspension part that we pulled him off of had hit the seat.
Dr. Timothy Pullman.
At the time that they picked me up, he had been maybe 8 to 10 minutes since the accident. Mike said that they had found him in a pool of blood in the car, that he had been pierced by a piece of metal. I thought if we could get him to the trauma center and start transfusing him, he would be okay. By the time we got there and started massively transfusing him, I turned him over and he's in another pool of blood, and I said, that's about it. He's lost quite a bit. By the time we reached the second floor where the operating rooms are, I couldn't feel his pulse anymore. Probably had maybe 1 or 2 minutes left before I lost even his heart rhythm. You lose a pulse on your way to the operating room. It's very seldom you get a person back like that. Got his abdomen open, had some catheters into his groin. When we finally got down to the arteries that were injured, once the vessel was identified and we're able to get just manual control, that I think was the moment when I thought, yeah, I think he'll make it. I think we could get him through this.
Teammate Marco Andretti.
When he woke up, I mean, he obviously had the breathing tubes and the whole nine, and I gave him a piece of paper, and he was writing, and the first question he asked was, what happened? And I said, your rocker broke, and then the second question was, when can I drive again? I'm like, it's going to be a while, buddy. This was a big one. You're lucky to be with us, and being that it was the second question he asked me, that he already had aspirations to still drive. He was not afraid. He was trying to push the envelope as much as he could to come back, and he did just that.
Physical therapist Jim Leo.
When James first came in to see me June 18th, we had worked for a bit of time with Dr. Pullman, coming up with a game plan of what we could do and what we couldn't do. I was surprised at how much weight he had lost, how weak he was. Drivers are not the easiest patients to work with on a rehabilitation program. They want to be somewhere faster than anybody else, so you have to kind of slow them down a little bit and make them understand that this is a marathon. We have a long haul here. They're concerned about sponsorship or their job, all these fears that come in that maybe they may never get to do this one thing that almost defines them. James is a very goal-oriented person, very structured with that. So I knew going into this program that when we hit these goals, it was a good day. When we didn't, it was a mental setback. But then you got back up the next day or the next week and you did it again. You just kept going. You talk about people being reborn. I think this was James being reborn. Obviously, something like this is life-changing. And without the help of everybody that was involved, I wouldn't be able to move on, but I can, and I will. That's what we do. We're racers.
James's journey has truly come full circle. This is his rebirth. And it truly is a very special one because James is back. He's back in the car. He's back doing what he loves, and he's got a shot at the 100th Indianapolis 500 next weekend. out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we're racers, we're gearheads, and that's the mentality you gotta have, man. The fact that he's literally the first two questions that he asked when he couldn't speak, when he's literally just came back from the edge of death, he wants to know what happened to the car and when can I get back in it. If that's not Gearhead Mentality 101, I don't know what is. And I sincerely want to see him win. And I know I'm not supposed to be biased. I'm not supposed to tell you who I want to see win. I want to see them all win. I'm usually that guy who doesn't pick a favorite because fact of the matter is I know most of these guys. I've talked to them. I've interviewed them. I know some of them. And I don't necessarily have a favorite for any particular race. I really don't. For the 100th Indianapolis 500, though, I would love to see James pull into victory lane 1 year after his accident. Not only would it be an amazing story, but it would be a testament to how close James came to losing his life. And 1 year later, not only getting back in the car at the track that you almost lost your life in, but literally 1 year and a day later, we're sitting here talking about him potentially winning not only the biggest race of his career, but potentially one of the biggest races in our lifetimes. That is pretty damn cool. I don't care who you are. I can't wait to watch this race. I truly can. I'm literally like a kid in a candy store, and I'm sitting here watching these practices, and I'm looking at the speed charts, and I'm going, come on, let's drop the green already. Come on, let's go. Because I'm sitting here like a little 5-year-old just getting giddy with anticipation, because that's what this race is. You have guys in the shops who are preparing this car for literally a year. There are some guys who legitimately only ever work on an Indianapolis 500 race car in these race shops. That's what they were hired to do. That's what they do. And when they win this race, it is a combination of literally 365 days worth of hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, and everything you have, all of your passion put into that car so that one man and this one team can take it into victory lane. And I should say one driver, not one man, but how cool would that be? I cannot wait for this race, because it is my favorite race of the year to watch, because it is so good, because it is so historic. It's the biggest race of the year. But this year, it's a little extra special, and I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be an epic race, to say the least. And judging by what we're seeing in practice with these speeds and with these cars and handling and these drivers, you can feel it. This year it's different. It's not just because it's Indianapolis this year, it's because it's the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. Okay, we have to shift gears away from IndyCar for a second. So what we'll go ahead and do, we'll take a break here. When we get back, we'll actually talk a little bit of drag racing. I know, we never get to do this, but well, we do sometimes, but John Force is going to be debuting his new 2016 Chevy Camaro SS. Funny car this weekend out at Topeka. We're going to talk about it because it's kind of a big deal, okay? So we're going to hear from John and why he thinks that this is the best body he's ever had on a drag race, on a dragster in his life. That's pretty, them's fighting words, John. Oh, not holding back. I like it. Being honest. Yeah. Bring it. This should be good. Do yourself a favor. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on ARN.
Sick of bad race coverage or none at all from those other networks? Make ARN your one and only for all things motorsports. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
It's summertime, and what does that mean for your business? Well, you don't need to go on one of these free website builders and build your own website, because you're not a web designer. You don't need to hire one of these websites that claims they'll build a website for free, because as my father always told me, nothing in this world is free. So what do? Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote to build your website today. It's not a cookie-cutter website like all these other free web design companies. No. RJO builds a brand new custom website for your specific needs. If you need a host service, if you need social media help, if you need a logo, they'll take care of it all for you, including emails, and yes, they'll even help you set up your .com. And no, they're not going to charge you a monthly fee. No, they're not going to nickel and dime you anytime you want to make a tiny change. They do it all for you. Here's what you do. Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote, and when you talk to my man Ruben, go ahead and tell him Alan from ARN sent you for a special gift. That's rjowebdesign.com. Download and listen to your favorite ARN programs on the go. Download Shifting Gears on arnrace.com, iTunes, and now available on the Stitcher app. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
Let off! For your Shifting Gears on ARN, here's Alan Bailey.
That's me. Welcome on in. Now, people have been giving John Force and John Force Racing flack over the course of the last year because more or less he hasn't actually been racing a Chevy. Let me explain. Basically, in order to get these bodies changed out, there is an extremely long process that you have to do in order to get a particular body changed on one of these drag racers. And I'm talking about across the board in NHRA, whether it's a body design in Top Fuel, whether it's something new in Funny Car, whether it's in Pro Stock, or even the motorcycle division. Everything takes literally years of development. And you not only have to get drag racing involved, the NHRA involved, but you also have to work with your particular manufacturer. The teams have to work with the manufacturer who's working with NHRA, who's working with safety protocols. It's a big, long, drawn-out process, and it wreaks havoc on you, to say the least. It really does. It creates problems, and it's a long process. So when Ford kind of left John Force and John Force Racing out in the cold a couple of seasons ago, John had to decide where to go. And he went through very intense negotiations with multiple manufacturers before eventually signing on with Chevrolet. The problem was Chevrolet did not have a current body style that A, John Force had, or B, that they had that was ready to race in Funny Car. They were still going through the development process. So essentially John Force and John Force Racing took the Ford stickers off the bodies that they currently had and slapped Chevy logos on them. That's what he's been racing for the past season and a half, give or take. And now the 16-time NHRA Funny Car champ John Force is going to be racing the all-new 2016 Camaro SS Funny Car this weekend at the NHRA Kansas Nationals in Topeka. The switch was announced during a John Force Racing Chevrolet announcement in Indianapolis earlier this week. The Funny Car body is actually the first body based on the new 6th generation Camaro SS. Force's teammates daughter Courtney and Robert will actually introduce the car later this season. John Force actually put it into words why this thing is his favorite of all time.
It's like looking at a movie theater. This car, because the way the Camaro is built with the roof design and all of that, it just opened up the view. You know what I'm saying? So we'll be able to see anywhere on the racetrack. But what's cool is you can see your motor. And when you look out, the body sometimes will move side to side, and it can trick you by lining you up on a track, and you don't realize you're crooked. But now you see the whole top of what you need of your engine, and it's bolted to the chassis. You know right where the center is. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, and what I like about it is that it's so extremely different. And I mean that in a good way, because you look at his cars, they've more or less had the same body design and the same body styling for the past few seasons, really. But looking at it now, it's a much different design. You look at how his body looked before, you could tell it wasn't a Chevy. It had Chevy stickers on it and logos on it, but it wasn't. It was an old Ford body that was just made to look like a Camaro. And now this new car, it's definitely different. It's a little bit boxier, which I actually like. I think it makes it look very cool. It's very boxy. The wing actually does look a little smaller, actually, compared to what he had even earlier this year on the old Ford body. And you look at the sides, they're a little bit more pronounced. The edges around the fenders and around the hood in particular, very different. And like John said, you can actually see the hood, over the hood a little bit better, so you could see more of the track. The window is definitely opened up, the front windows and the side windows. It looks a lot more open and more accessible. It looks like there's just more side paneling on the sides of these of this particular Chevrolet. It just does. Now, the flares on the front are very different. They look very different, and they look very cool. Even though the paint scheme is basically the same, it's a very aggressive-looking nose. Very aggressive. A lot more black in the nose inlays. A couple of grill inlays. That's actually what you see out on the street version of what you and I drive. It does, by no stretch of the imagination, does this actually resemble what we see on the streets, but it does look a little bit closer with the sticker decals and things of that nature. So it's getting closer. So I'll give them that. But it just looks a lot better just all the way around. So it'll be interesting to see what John does, and really how fast these bodies go. I mean, you look at it. Courtney is leading the point standings in funny car right now, and Robert and John need to do a little catching up, but they're right there too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Courtney gets a hold of this thing, and to see what she does with her performance on the racetrack, as well as John and Robert. So we'll take a look at this 2016 Camaro this weekend at Topeka and see what it does on the track, because it can look dang pretty in the showroom and in the garage, but once you get it out on that racetrack, then you'll see what it looks like going 300 plus miles an hour down that quarter mile. We'll take a look at it. We'll see what it looks like this coming weekend. Now, want to shift gears here a little bit. Want to talk about NASCAR, actually. Want to get some NASCAR talk in here before we got to go to break, because a lot of people were speculating that Kevin Harvick was going to be driving for a Chevy team in 2017. Now, let me explain. Very early on this season, Stewart-Haas Racing announced that they're leaving Chevrolet at the end of this season. They're moving over to Ford next year for the 2017 season and beyond. And immediately, and can't really tell why or how this started, but immediately people were saying, oh, Kevin Harvick's going to be in a Ford. How's this going to work? And everybody kind of went, at least I kind of went, what? Well, what's the big deal? It's the team he drives for. They're still going to win races. They're still going to win championships. Remember when Roger Penske won the championship with Dodge, then the very next year switched over to Ford? It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot like that. Just a quick little flip switch over. Get over it. But rumors kept persisting that Stewart-Haas was talking with Harvick to get Harvick out of his contract, that Chevy wanted Harvick to come over and drive for one of their teams, that KHI might be in the Cup Series next year. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, these rumors that were just being spread like wildfire out of nowhere. It legitimately made everybody kind of go, what the heck are we talking about here? Where's this coming from? Harvick denied it. Stewart-Haas Racing denied it. And earlier this past weekend at Dover, rumors started that since Casey Kane isn't doing so well in the number 5 car this year and in years past, well, Casey's out of a ride next year. That must be the case. And Harvick's taking over the 5 car over at Hendrick Motorsports. Yep, that's what's happening. That's what the internet has deduced. And then Harvick immediately said, this is just amazing. People are making up nonsense. And then it got confirmed this morning when we woke up to the news that Harvick had signed a long-term contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing. But let me say this. Harvick wasn't in the contract year. He was a few years away. We don't know the terms of his particular deal that he just signed, because he hasn't stated, and Stewart-Haas hasn't stated how far out this contract extension goes. So it makes me wonder, is this announcement 100% false and 100% Stewart-Haas Racing trying to squash the rumors that Harvick's going somewhere else so that they can go out and find more sponsors for 2017? That's something to sincerely think about, because the timing of the rumor with him driving the 5 for Rick Hendrick and this contract extension don't really work for me. It's a little too coincidental. That rumor can't be addressed one day and then the next day you're announcing a contract extension. No, That's not how it works. I believe in coincidences, but that one's a little too fishy for me, you know? I don't buy that 100%. I really don't. And Harvick hasn't commented about his long-term extension, quote-unquote, with Stewart-Haas Racing, and he hasn't, neither Harvick nor Stewart-Haas nor Ford or Chevy have acknowledged how many years? 5 years? 2 years? 3 years? What's long-term? Lifetime? Did he sign a lifetime contract? These are things that you need to know. And I mean, the only team that currently has lifetime contracts out are Jimmy Johnson and Rick Hendrick. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. more or less has one in play, more or less. But it's not official with anybody else. So how long is Harvick's contract? Is it a lifetime contract? 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100? Come on, give us something here. I think that this is total and complete baloney. I swear to you it is. I do think that he intends to stay with Stewart-Haas. I think that he is in the process of signing an extension, and once they actually have that in paper, lockdown, sealed, signed, delivered, then we'll hear, oh yeah, he signed until 20 whatever, and then we'll know. But I don't think it works. But in all honesty, Harvick and Stewart-Haas probably just went, if we say it's a 3-year deal, then they're going to look at whoever's contract's up in 3 years and start saying, oh, he's taking over this ride, he's taking over that ride, which honestly sounds a lot like the internet. Internet, don't be getting ideas now. You listen to me, Internet. Don't go get these ideas. Stop it right now. It's not cool. Not cool, Internet. Get these ideas out of your head. I don't like it. I don't like it. These stupid rumors, they make no sense. We're going to start a rumor. Here we go. Yay. Merrily. Oh, brother. I hate these stupid rumors, man. I hate them so much. Can we just focus on what's going on the track? Seriously. Because this is just, it's ridiculous on like 1,000 levels. Just, it's like word vomit. These poor saps that are looking for these new, what's going on? Gotta look for the new story. What's going on? Let's find out what's going on this week. Yeah. Yes. Enough. Well, let's go ahead and take a break right now. I need to go ahead and bathe myself after diving into the internet and its brain for too long. It hurts. It sincerely hurts. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on ARN.
Sick of bad race coverage or not at all from those other networks? Make ARN your one and only for all things motorsports. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
It's summertime, and what does that mean for your business? Well, you don't need to go on one of these free website builders and build your own website because you're not a web designer. You don't need to hire one of these websites that claims they'll build a website for free because, as my father always told me, nothing in this world is free. So what do? Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote to build your website today. It's not a cookie-cutter website like all these other free web design companies. No. RJO builds a brand new custom website for your specific needs. If you need a host service, if you need social media help, if you need a logo, they'll take care of it all for you, including emails, and yes, they'll even help you set up your .com. And no, they're not going to charge you a monthly fee. No, they're not going to nickel and dime you anytime you want to make a tiny change. They do it all for you. Here's what you do. Log on to rjowebdesign.com in order to request a quote. And when you talk to my man Ruben, go ahead and tell him Alan from ARN sent you for a special gift. That's RJO Web Design and rjowebdesign.com.
You're shifting gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
That you are, my friends. Dover, the Monster Mile, definitely lived up to its nickname this last weekend. Out in Delaware as a frog creeps into my throat. Excuse me, sorry about that. But we saw wrecks Yeah, that's kind of a given. Kind of impossible to see that, and the memes of Jimmy Johnson and his transmission seizing up on the restart were legendary. I don't always wreck, but when I do, I take out half the field. Very nice. Good job, Internet. You win a point back. Congratulations. Now, don't be gloating. Just relax. Let's take you inside the headset for what was a very eventful, profane laced inside the headset out at Dover.
It's a 400-mile thrill ride in the first state. We're ready to go racing in Dover.
Let's just go win this daggone thing. 400 laps. We're one of our best and favorite racetracks, so let's go out there and have some fun today. Have a good day, boys. You too, man. You're rolling here, third time back. You're going to start looking left. You'll see victory lane. We'll be later right there on your left. Green flag, green flag, green flag.
Let's go racing, boys!
It started shaking here. Just shakes your head and everything so bad. It's hard to predict where it's going to go. I have never seen this track get so rough. I'm real numb in the back, entering it off, and it's just bouncing like a basketball. I don't like to recommend the thing anymore because the driver doesn't know anything anymore. Who's after? They both were. You were bottom three. Oh, I understand what three wide is. My question was, who was beside me? One of those cars was beside me. The other one was to his right side. That's three wide.
Tony Stewart appears to have blown up.
It's got to be the track bar. Yeah, it's definitely a track bar. You're swaying all around. Okay, road is open. Right here. Right only, right only. All way.
It was a drag race in the middle of pit road between Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth.
P4, good job, man. The 48 and the 20 are on 2.
Yeah, I'd give them a little bit of room here in case they pile them up. They're going to be going like hell.
Hi, brother, it's all on you.
Green flag.
Whoa! Oh, doubled up top, doubled up top. Check it out, jacket. Okay, low, come on, low. Come on. Right. Down, way down. Yeah, we're ready. Dang it. Check up, get low, check up. Come on, high, you coming, go. Oh my God, Big Greg. Just stop right now. Just stop right there. Wow. There's still sheep back on the track. You're okay right there.
I call that Andy.
Yes, sir. You did. That's years of experience, isn't it?
4 on that. No, man.
We're not even caught up in that mess, but these restarts, the zone, the procedures, everything is no idea what happened. He's a gas racer. That's what happened. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just it would not go into gear. Like locked out of third gear. So far. All right, guys. We're done, I believe. Don't you think? Yeah.
I think I broke one of my knuckles or something. The steering wheel whipped around in my hand. What, do we wake you up from your nap again? No, adrenaline's going out. I don't know if we can pause this right now.
Green flag is up in the air once again. We are off, and there goes Matt Kenseth.
Change your lane. You're all clear. Halfback 42. Try to pack air. Make sure you don't overdrive it.
Here comes Kurt Busch flying around the outside. Larson turns Edwards.
He hit hard. Yeah, it all looked like. Oh, that was a big hit. Yes, it was. Man, he hit a ton.
I touched the 19. Feel bad if that was my fault, but I don't think it was.
Oh, you okay? Yeah, that one hurt.
Damn, man.
Give me a break.
Who was that?
42. What an idiot. What an idiot. That's no good.
Green flag back in the air.
Change your lane. All clear.
Kenseth will lead him back to turn number 1.
Clear by 2 over the 42. It's you and him nice and straight here. Goodbye 5. 22 says he'll be at the top when you get to him. Get out of the way here. I'm talking to him. That's it. You reel on a bench. Keep pushing. 24 with a big head of momentum. Plenty of time. Set him up. One back 24. Big run coming to you.
Here comes Elliott to the inside of Larson. Battle for second, back in 3.
Keep working him over. If he gets ahead of that 20 before he was screwed. There you go. You got to want it here. Figure it out. Inside. He's there. You got really loose behind you. You're good by 4. Let's go get that 20.
He is on the back bumper. Matter of fact, he'll go and give Kenson the tap. Up the bank he goes Kenson. Larson to the bottom of the racetrack. Kenson, though, battles back on the outside.
You're clear. All clear. Coming to the white. Set him up.
Larson has one final shot to take home the win.
Working the bottom. One back. All clear. You're the man.
Matt Kenseth gets the victory.
Good job, guys. That wasn't easy. Thanks, guys. Great job, man. P2. God.
If I didn't have to race the 24, I think I would have had him.
Did a hell of a job today, kid. Good job. Our day's coming, I told you.
The 37th win of Matt's career. The celebration is on.
Wow. You earned that one, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
I'll support, buddy. Way to get it done, man.
Appreciate it, man. That was a tough one.
Yes, it was.
Man, I felt for Larson right there. I really did. Because, honestly, if it were any other driver, I sincerely think that he would have moved Kenseth. How could you not? You look at Larson, you look at what Chip Ganassi has gone through with that organization the past few seasons. Haven't been to victory lane in a long time. Long time, with all due respect to them, because they're working their tails off trying to get back into victory lane. Larson, he's had good runs before. He finished second out at the Auto Club Speedway a few seasons ago. Notice I said a few seasons ago. Multiple. That was his last second place finish. You got another one at Dover. Congratulations, but move the 20 car, man. This is for the points. This is for the win. You got to do it. There's a philosophy with racers. When is it okay to use the bump and run to move a driver? Lap 1? No. Lap 10? No. Anything under lap 100 or the halfway point? No. And if it's not for a position somewhere in the top 10 or the top 5, you better not. But if it's within the last 10, 15 laps, and it's for the win, and it's for your first win, and it's a guaranteed spot in the postseason that you're going for, you use your chrome horn and move his ass out of the way. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Kyle Larson needs to learn that you got to be a little rough around the edges. You got to be a little bit of the bad boy. Because guess what? The nice guy finished second, and he didn't make the chase. And he's still not qualified for the chase. And he still doesn't have a career victory in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Larson's a great guy. He's won in Xfinity. He will win in Cup and continue to win in Cup once he breaks through that barrier. But damn, I felt for him. I was screaming at the top of my lungs at the TV, Rama, come on, bump him, bump him. And he never did. Never bumped him. It's a shame. Hats off to the 24, though, because Chase really stuck his nose in there, and I think that Elliott could have run down the 20 car had he gotten around the 42, but the 42 just didn't. What are you going to do? It happens. And if the 42 didn't have to race the 24 so hard for second, maybe he could have gotten and stayed with Matt. I don't know, but those two drivers raced each other too hard. Matt got away, and it was his win from then on. But the 20 car's in the chase, finally. With that, it was the final Joe Gibbs car that has not won a race this season, which is pretty darn impressive because they've all won a lot of races so far. They're still pretty damn good out there. And you look at Larson, still not in the chase, and Chase Elliott in the 24, moving up in the point standings. He's in the chase right now, in the top 10 in points, actually. So that's pretty darn cool. But neither one of them have that first career victory, and both, unfortunately, are heading to the All-Star race, or the Sprint Open, I should say, on Friday night, tomorrow night, out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, trying to make the big show on Saturday. So it's going to be a hectic race, that's for sure. Going to be a heck of a race this weekend on Fox. You don't want to miss it. Now, this is something that I've been dreading bringing up because I know it's just going to roll my eyes in the back of my head. NASCAR has once again announced downforce changes. Lower downforce package set up for this weekend in the All-Star race. Tell me if we haven't heard this before. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams will be required to weld truck trailing arm mount brackets since May 7th race at Kansas, and the rule will remain in effect through the rest of the 2016 season. The changes now limit how the car moves, but I'm seriously trying not to scream and curse right now, but basically, the toe alignment changes that are being made will help prevent teams from skewing the car to gain downforce that can cause a 3-mile-per-hour decrease in Charlotte in the corners, which some drivers have been lobbying for a reduction. Now, NASCAR already reduced downforce by 900 pounds with its 2016 rule package change, and this will eliminate another 100 to 200 pounds since the beginning of the season. That's a lot. That is a lot. The drivers can feel about a 25 pounds of downforce change in the car drastically, so 100 to 200 is going to be quite substantial. Quite substantial indeed. They had a Goodyear tire test Tuesday out at the Michigan International Speedway, and they tested these changes for potential 2017 changes, and NASCAR.com reported that Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Eric Almirola, and Martin Truex Jr. Actually did test out at the Michigan International Raceway, or will rather, this coming Tuesday. So we'll see what that test prevails. The fact of the matter is, you have four very young drivers. Austin and Kyle are pretty young guns. They're looking for what they like in these cars. They don't really know, no offense to them, because they are young drivers. They only have a few seasons under their belt. Eric Almirola has been around this block a few times. He knows what he's doing, and so is Martin Truex. So I like getting a couple of younger voices in there for what they like in the cars versus the older drivers, or the more experienced drivers out there at Michigan. That way you can get a combination of both young and old driver preference and feel in the car. That's very cool that they're doing that. So again, it's ultimately what these drivers find. It's what NASCAR decides to do. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And people ask, well, what does lower downforce in the turns do for the race? Well, if these drivers are holding the throttle full out all the way around the turns, then there's not going to be much opportunity for passing. But if the drivers have to let off the gas because there's not as much downforce and they need to slow down in order to make the turn, then it creates more of a racing environment, and drivers actually have to focus on braking points, on when to let off, when to brake, how much to brake. Focus goes back into handling and less on downforce, so that these drivers, these teams, can actually work on these cars and can actually focus on driving not only the racetrack but the competition. So that's the ultimate goal, is to race the competition, not the racetrack. That's something that it looks like is happening, because when these cars are hooked up, they're hooked up, man, and it's hard to actually pry them up because they're that hooked down onto these racetracks. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, we are done, actually. Yeah, I know, believe it or not. This show goes extremely quickly. We're running out of time here, but taking a look at the racing calendar, qualifying for the 100th Indianapolis 500 happening this Saturday and Sunday out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can watch coverage on IndyCar.com, but you can also check out coverage on your local ABC affiliate. Check your local listings. Also, NASCAR this weekend. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is going to be taken to the track tomorrow night out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and also the NASCAR Sprint Open is going to be racing tomorrow night on FS1, with the NASCAR Sprint Cup All-Star race happening on Saturday night at the track, and that's going to be a heck of a race. Literally balls to the wall, full throttle madness. Because that race, although it is going through an interesting change with the new format change that we'll see, which will throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in, but it's still the All-Star race. It's still a wild, crazy, insane race that always produces amazing racing, because it's literally trophy or nothing. Nothing else matters. That's going to be an interesting preview for next weekend's Coca-Cola 600 out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Great American Day of Racing, Sunday, May 29th. The Indianapolis 500 in the morning, the Coca-Cola 600 at night. 1,100 miles of racing in one single day. get the recliners ready because it's going to be one heck of a weekend next weekend. This weekend, get a little bit of a preview of that with qualifying for IndyCar and the All-Star race. So that's going to do it for us here at the American Racing Network. Don't worry, we missed a couple weeks, I know. Had a little bit of a health issue that I had to work through with my family. It's all taken care of now. Thank you for your emails. Very touching. But we're back, better than ever, and we'll take you to the 100th Indianapolis 500 on May 29th, 2016. For everybody here at the American Racing Network, my name's Alan Bailey. For everybody here at ARN and Shifting Gears, we'll see you at the track.
You've been listening to the American Racing Network, a turn for media company. This is ARN, the Motorsports Authority.